Paralyzed by fear, why athletes freeze and how you can fix it. It's actually also accompanied by resistance, or can be accompanied by resistance. And in my case, it's been feeling a lot of this resistance of, you know, showing up, putting in work, even when no one's watching. We know that that's what we're supposed to do, and yet it's one of the hardest things to do. And we have another great quote here, which is, the more important to your soul's growth, the stronger the resistance will be. Let's watch this.
The more important to your soul's growth, the stronger the resistance will be.
That's absolutely true. And what I meant by that was that when we conceive an idea for something we want to do, a movie we want to make or a book we want to make, it's not like at all like what the fantasy was, oh, I'm really charged up, it's going to be great. What happens is waves of what I call resistance with a capital R start coming off that keyboard or whatever it is to try to stop us from doing it, make us procrastinate, make us, go to the beach, make us, give in to distractions. And this is why I always say, if you want to know which one of 3 or 4 projects that you should do the one you're most afraid of, because that fear is a form of resistance with a capital R. And the more important a project is to your soul's evolution, not to your commercial success, but to your own evolution as an artist, the more resistance you will feel to it. So, in other words, the thing that you really should be doing is going to be the hardest and is going to punch you in the face the hardest, which is why so many artists have such a hardcore professional attitude, because they have to have it to be able to kind of stand up to that resistance that's trying to push them away from doing their project, whatever it is.
And that was a Stephen Pressfield, Andrew Huberman podcast that I really appreciated. And when you feel that resistance, right, it's the most important form of work that you should be doing. And I've been feeling that a lot recently. So here we are, figuring out how to overcome that. You have the GOAT Muhammad Ali here. If your dreams don't scare you, they aren't big enough. And that is a fact, right? So fear and resistance are often, in my opinion, like siblings, right? So it just helps to know that someone who you consider to be one of the greatest athletes of all time is similarly dealing with these feelings of fear, of resistance, especially again when no one's watching. So I have, right, one of the solutions here is to pick a direction and go. When you feel that fear, when you feel that resistance, the harder the resistance is, the more fear you have, just keep going. I have my athlete Dave here, who honestly has always been a symbol for me of that a strong goal is how you honestly overcome a lot of the fear, a lot of the resistance, because he always has his goals in mind. He always knows what he wants to do, right? So when I show up to Coach Dave, there's no confusion around what we're up to, whether it's the 100, the 200, the 400, whether it's his football game. That's what we're up to, and that's what we're doing. And so he's been an inspiration to me. It might help a little bit to understand why fear is so powerful. So fear moves faster than logic. So even though you know what you should be doing, this is going to act stronger, right? Because when fear hits, it hijacks your breathing, your vision, your coordination, your decision making. Really, your vision is huge. What you look at when fear hits, it hijacks, right? These are all parts of your brain that are in control of the fear response. You're going to have all these light up on moments of fear. So don't worry about it, because your mind isn't broken, right? Fear is not a weakness; it's a strength. It's part of your biology. And so your job is not to really protect yourself from fear. It's to find a reason to push through the fear. We have this brick wall here because sometimes it does take repetition of just smashing into a brick wall to get through it. The 3 brain states. So athletes perform based on the brain state that they're in. So if you're fearful, you're analytical, you're overthinking. Similarly, you can be frustrated, upset, which can create an emotional reaction, or you can just be on your auto programming, which is autonomic, fast, loose. You see here that your analytical mind, the fear-based mind, will be 20 times slower than the rest of your mind frames that you can be in, right? You have your emotional mind, which will be 4 times slower than your computer mind, which is the fastest. So if you've ever been in an emotionally heightened state, you may actually perform better, you may perform worse, but your brain is moving faster than it does whenever you're overthinking. And then what you really want to achieve is that computer brain. So your job is to move down. This is down, but it's supposed to be up the pyramid into the programmed brain. So why athletes freeze? Have you ever been through something so routine and then all of a sudden the crowd is there or coach is watching and all of a sudden you can't perform as though you're supposed to? It's because for whatever reason, or not for whatever reason, we're going over the reason, but you're scared. You're overthinking every movement. You're locked up by fear. So how do we flip the fear? The step one is going to be a nice little 10-second reset. So inhale slowly, relax your shoulders, reframe your fear as excitement. This one really helps me here is that if it were easy, everyone would be doing it. So anytime you encounter something hard, anytime you encounter a big form of resistance, just understand if it were that easy, then everyone would be able to do it. So the fact that it's hard, the fact that you have this resistance means you're so close to doing things that other people can't even imagine. Then you have step two, which is the 90-second ritual, which is a mental warm-up that locks athletes into movement. You have your breathing, which we just covered. Then you want to see the execution. You want to visualize what you're supposed to be doing. Then you want to get into some movement, prime the pattern. So this could be a warm-up. Then you want to cue the words. So anchor confidence. Again, an easy one for me is if it were easy, everyone would be doing it. That helps me push. That helps me continue to show up when no one's watching, so that greatness isn't created when the lights are on. It's created in the dark. Then you can rewire your doubt into fuel. So you turn, I don't know if I can, into I've done the work. I'm built for this. What's really important here is that you actually have to have done the work. You can't trick yourself into thinking you did the work when you took shortcuts. Your brain is going to know you didn't show up consistently. You didn't push through those moments of fear, of resistance. And then in this case, when you do that, you're able to repeat yourself under pressure, permanent confidence rewiring. So the hidden problem here is that fear thrives in confusion, lack of clarity, and undefined goals. So this is really what we're talking about today, is this lack of clarity and undefined goals. You have this picture of Candyland here. If you never played Candyland, you need to get out there and get you a board game or two with this little zigzag roadmap here. It's a fun game. But really, fear always comes back when there's no direction. Why traditional goal setting fails? There's a ton of athletes I have where they show up and their goals to me are, I want to run faster. I want to jump further. I want to just get better. And these are vague goals which produce vague results. Traditional goals fail because they're too general, not measurable, not connected to purpose, impossible to track. No clarity, you have no confidence. These are really tough when it gets hard to, on those days that you really don't want to do it, that you really don't want to show up because it's really early in the morning or it's really late at night or it's a Friday evening and you'd rather be out there partying or watching Netflix or scrolling or whatever. The reason you show up is because you have clarity of your goal. You understand that even though today there's no one watching, I know in 3 months when I have my deadline, there will be people watching, and we're going to go over how to create these goals in full. So fear's weakness is clarity. So this is honestly the theme for a lot of things is being able to see where you're going, not where you are. Like a huge problem for a lot of the athletes I coach is that they always look down because they think, well, I'm running with my feet, so I need to see my feet. But that's completely the opposite of what you want to be doing. You want to look where you want to go, and this is true in defeating fear as well, right? Fear thrives on uncertainty. Clarity cuts through it like a spotlight. So, how do we create direction? Fairly simple here. It's create the smarter goal system, a little bit different than the SMART goal system that you may have heard about. It's the only goal system built for performance under pressure. So you want it to be it's an acronym, right? So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. Then you want to evaluate and revise your plan, because when you first start, your plan is just based on what you think is true. But as you continue to show up and as you continue to experiment, you begin to learn what is actually true and what is actually needed to succeed and reach your goals. So just an example for a smarter goal example, you want 100 meter is your event. So let's say you want to drop from a 12.1 to 11.8. That's your specific goal. And then you can measure, you can track weekly, you're flying 10. Then is it attainable based on last month's data? Achievable. Then you have relevant. Why is this relevant? It supports an upcoming season goal, whether that's being faster in football or basketball or soccer, or running is your main sport and you want to get into college because it helps you connect with your family or whatever. You need it to support a big goal here, right? So for me, being a great athlete was how I honestly achieved recognition from other people and from my family as well. It was a great way to connect. I enjoyed the car rides with my parents and going over all that. So it fulfilled a much larger goal than just running fast or jumping far for me. Then time bound, you know that in 8 weeks you have to perform. And then after that is when you evaluate. So you review your 10 meter fly every week to see if you're on track. If you are, or if you're not, you want to adjust your goals. So we have here a little example of how we like to do it in the Speed Lab, which is that we have a commitment card. So on the front, you can write out your smarter goals. And then on the back, you determine what you want to eliminate this week. What will you eliminate that is not serving your larger goal? And then you want to replace that with what 3 commitments will you make that serve your larger goal? You have a space to put them all. Then you sign, and more important than that, you have an accountability partner sign. So once your accountability partner signs, they're now in charge of this card. Okay. So they're in charge of this card. And then at the end of the week, they come back, they check on you, and they see how you did, whether you achieved your goal, whether you failed. I promise you'll show up more fully, and you'll show up on days when you don't want to, when you have someone else to report to, someone else holding you accountable. And then, of course, you share it. So you can share it inside of this community here. If you are having trouble finding an accountability partner, we're here to help you. You see, I have my commitment card here.